Ben Shapiro versus Tucker versus Bannon. Megyn Kelly has come out and made comments about Ben Shapiro because she says he publicly came out against her. What side should MAGA turn to?
Look, Ben Shapiro came out swinging, calling out Candace Owens like that for years of conspiratorial stuff. I was delighted to hear it. I mean, also him calling out Tucker Carlson for platforming Fuentes, and even Megyn Kelly for not condemning it. I thought it was just classic Shapiro, which is facts over feelings, no apologies. And honestly, he's right to draw lines on anti-Semitism and conspiracy theories. I mean, that's just being normal, if you ask me. But when you have figures like Owens who are spreading baseless claims about Charlie Kirk's assassination, I really think that's what poisons the well. The conservative movement needs to reject that and not platform it. But look, I mean, I think with Carlson firing back and mocking Shapiro too for trying to quote unquote deplatforming dissenters, saying that he laughed at it, Bannon calling him a cancer, Kelly saying that their friendship is over. It all shows how personal this is. But it really highlights the bigger divide, which is principled conservatism versus a more populist America First strain that really sometimes flirts with isolationism or worse. And I'm with Shapiro here. I mean, calling out moral imbecility when you see it, like hosting Holocaust deniers, is absolutely necessary. I think the crowd felt it, and I think the crowd is going to agree. We cannot let the fringe define us.
Now, Brian, I have to imagine Democrats are loving this. They're probably loving the infighting. I'll play the devil's advocate, though. You know, not only did they get J.D. Vance out there, who may be a figure that unites the party and is seemingly the most popular choice right now by double-digit margins, I believe, but who did they bring out? We got to play it. Special guest, Nicki Minaj. Let's show this.
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. The only thing that is truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be, a Christian nation.
We won't be silenced ever again. We will speak up for Christians wherever they are in this world. Amen.
Amen.
Brian, she is a big name. Why is the left upset about what she and J.D. Vance had to say?
Well, I think saying that America is a Christian nation alone is enough to get the left upset. America isn't a Christian nation. It's a nation of all religions. I think that whenever a big celebrity comes out and they're probably on the side that you don't think they're going to be on and they say something like that, is shocking. But I think right now the right they're replacing policy with personal brand warfare. And I think now the brands are basically eating each other.
That may be true, Brian, but if they unite behind J.D. Vance, who may be that figure that they need, are Democrats concerned about him in 2028?
So I think without a doubt, J.D. Vance is the front runner. I think that poll said 84% of Republicans favored Vance. I wouldn't be concerned as much as, a more moderate Republican. I think J.D. Vance will get drugged down with all of MAGA. And right now, MAGA has a 36, 37% approval rating. So if things were to continue as they are right now, I think a J.D. Vance running for president would be great because we can associate him directly with Trump.
Jack, over to you. Do you think it was too early for Erica to make an endorsement, of J.D. Vance? And also, let me ask you, do you think he should have come out and been more clear and said what you said at the top of the show, that this movement has no place for this specific thought, maybe this specific person? So a double question to you there.
Sure, yeah. No, well, he did give an interview over in Unheard where I know that he made very similar comments to that as well, called out some people by name, for example. And as far as the timing, look, I think it's no surprise to anyone that Charlie wanted J.D. Vance to be the primary candidate, be the general election candidate for 2028, really viewed him as the successor to MAGA, worked very, very hard behind the scenes. I can certainly tell you from personal experience to get J.D. Vance to be there as the vice president for Trump in 2024. So I think what Erica was really doing here is just carrying out Charlie's wishes.
And just to follow up, I believe that was more about his wife than it was just a blanket. Nick Fuentes, okay, is somebody who you heard in the periphery like 3 years ago, and now he's in like every conversation. So I believe what you're referring to is J.D. Vance talking more specifically about his wife. Having that platform, should he have been more specific and come out like you did at the top of the show?
I think he did also call out all anti-Semitism and all bigotry and ethnic hatred as well.
So, Rina, over to you. Your thoughts on J.D. Vance, but also I have to ask you, look, your parents are migrants. Immigration was a very big focus at AmericaFest. Your thoughts on J.D. Vance as the potential champion of the party, and also your thoughts on the topic of immigration over this weekend.
Yeah, so Second Lady Usha Vance and I have a similar background. I'll just say, my parents came over very early in 1970 and 1981. My dad and mom, respectively. I've seen them over my lifetime spent thousands of dollars to bring, to be here legally, to bring over relatives legally. They have followed the law. So I take offense to anybody that tries to jump the line, right? But this is about way more than just immigration. This is about the bigotry that I'm seeing from the alt-right. I mean, just look at my Twitter comments any day of the week. They tell me to go back to where I came from. And to that, all I have to say is where? West Virginia, soil that I was born and raised on. I think the great backlash against especially Indian immigrants, seeing Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, these incredible leaders, and what we've been marginalized, what we've been reduced to as a population of Americans of Indian descent is just disgusting to me. But look, that's one hand. So I do think but I will say, let me put it this way, putting a bow on it. The vice president needs to come out more forcefully. He needs to have his wife's back far better than he's handled it in recent weeks. But putting on my political strategist hat for a moment, I think the endorsement by Erica Kirk was notable because Turning Point has serious grassroots power, especially in early primaries like Iowa and New Hampshire, where they mobilized over 100,000 voters in 2024. But honestly, while I respect Erica stepping up after Charlie's tragic assassination, I'm just not sold on Vance as the future of the party. I mean, he's sharp on some issues like his foreign policy realism, where he's pushed for restraint in endless wars. That appeals to the America First base. But lately, he's been noticeably sidelined in the Trump administration. I mean, reports from various outlets suggest that Trump has kept him out of the inner circle on key decisions, reducing him to more of like a social media role rather than hands-on leadership. So I'll just say, I think there are real questions about Vance's leadership chops, and I don't think he really has the gravitas to unify a fractured coalition, at least not in this moment.
No, vice president, president, that role, sometimes they don't get center stage. Okay, Brian, let me ask you this. So you go to this. This idea of what do the Democrats do to seize on this? It matters who their candidate is, but how do they seize on this? Or have you already seen how they seize on this apparent infighting that's happening on the right?
Well, I think almost don't do anything, right? Voters, especially independents right now, are looking for stability. They're seeing chaos, not only in the administration, but now the influencers in the Republican Party or within the right. They're all infighting, right? Voters want competence, and this is like a circling firing squad.
Real quick, Brian, follow up. You also see the extreme on the left, who have sometimes very similar points to the extreme on the right. Does the left have to worry about that being part of the Democratic Party?
Not that I notice right now. I mean, go back to like 2016 and you had Bernie Sanders against Hillary Clinton. That was like as worse as it got, and you didn't really have influencers at the time battling it out with conspiracy theories like you have now among the right. So right now, definitely not. I think the left is unified against what's happening on the right.
All right, interesting times. Jack Posobiec, Brian Krassenstein, Rina Shah, really appreciate the conversation. Thank you all, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.